Hello, fellow bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa, and today I want to chat all about why I love Jane Austen. Jane Austen is quite possibly my favorite author of all time, so I thought in honor of Jane Austen July, I'd share what I find so special about her and her writing. I've discussed why I love Jane Austen before, plenty on this channel, but I thought it would be nice to do another version of this, so I've compiled 10 reasons why I love Jane Austen. Let's get into them. The first thing I love about Jane is her humor and wit. I know a lot of people expect her writing to be stuffy and boring simply because it's very old and studied in school, but that perception couldn't be further from the truth. Jane Austen novels are actually hysterical. Her writing is dripping with brilliantly sharp wit, irony, and satire that serve to point out the inconsistencies of her characters and critique the conventions and values of her time. I often find myself chuckling aloud while reading Austen and feeling compelled to share quotes and lines with those around me, even if they are entirely unfamiliar with Austen's works. The second thing I love about Jane is her characters. Their psychological depth and complexity is unparalleled. They are vain, weak, and foolish and selfish, and also kind, generous, naive, overly confident, and sometimes inconsistent. They span a whole range of human emotions and are such multifaceted individuals with such a wide range of conflicting personality traits and a wide range of motivations and desires. They often have these amazing character arcs and show substantial growth and change over the course of their novels. And even the minor characters, though they aren't given as much time or space in the novels, fail to be flat caricatures. They feel like they have complex motivations and desires, even if they aren't as fully explored as the main characters. Jane's characters just feel so real that even though they are from a different time, I can vividly imagine interacting with them in today's society. And in fact, they often remind me of very real people in my life. Jane Austen had such an amazing insight into human nature in a way that few people, past or present, do. The third thing I love about Jane Austen is how she is quite timeless in some ways. She explores themes that still affect us all, like navigating family relationships, unrequited love, class and privilege, and morality. Of course, things have changed quite a bit since the Regency era, and yet themes that center around human interaction in society remain relevant and intensely relatable. The fourth thing I like about Jane Austen is how her writing does also reflect her time period. Despite being so relatable to the modern reader, Jane's novels are also distinctly from the Regency era, and it's fun to learn history through such entertaining novels. Her works examine the time period through descriptions of customs and dress, and descriptions of social expectations and norms, but it's also easy and quite charming to romanticize Jane Austen's England with its country manners, quiet drawing rooms, and lavish balls, where there are no electronics or cell phones and things just move at a slower clip. And I think for me at least, reading her works involves an interesting combination of learning more about the Regency era, daily life and values, and reconciling that with romanticized perceptions of the past. The fifth thing I love about Austen is her rereadability. I don't reread books all that often, but I do reread Jane Austen because her books have so many layers and details that there's always something new to discover with each read. There's always a new aspect I focus on, or a new tidbit of history to pick up on, or a shifting perspective that I might take on her characters. Different plot lines and different themes resonate with me on each read, and it's just so much fun to see what will stand out to me each time I pick up one of her books. There's that old saying about never being able to read the same book twice because you're a different person with a slightly different mindset each time you read it, and I just find that that's never more true than with Austen. The sixth thing I love about Jane Austen is her love stories. Jane Austen's novels are in great part about finding love in a society where women have a duty to achieve marriage and financial security, but not necessarily love in the process. There's something really satisfying about journeying with Austen's protagonist protagonists as they navigate this dilemma and watching their brilliant love stories unfold. You can't help but get swept up in the romance of them. The seventh thing I love about Jane Austen is her social commentary. The subtext of Austen's stories critique and undermine the social conventions of her time. She critically examines gender relations, power, money, marriage, empire, and so much more, all within the strict confines of the marriage plot structure. Some have argued that she was ahead of her time, or a proto-feminist, or that she was actually quite radical. And I love constantly evaluating to what extent that's actually true. But regardless, there is definitely a darker and more cynical subtext to Austen's writing. The older I get, the more I appreciate Austen's novels for their social commentary, in addition to their romance plots. The eighth thing I love about Austen is her dialogue. It's just incredible. It's endlessly entertaining, but it's also the main thing that moves Austen's plots along and creates structure to her stories. I mean, her plots are stunningly simple, but it's the dialogue that occupies our attention, and it's remarkable how each character truly has their own voice, even the minor ones. They each have their own distinctive speech patterns that set them apart from other characters, and Austen accomplishes this in so many different ways, whether it's variation in sentence length, or an excessive use of adverbs, or a character's use of slang or repetition, or their use of exaggeration, and so much more. All of this is what serves to make her characters so fully fleshed out and beautifully complex. And then, of course, there's Austen's impressive and rather judicious use of omitting dialogue, too. We as readers aren't privy to every scene and every sentence. Some scenes are glossed over or summarized to let the reader's imagination draw its own conclusions. And then there are just some characters who don't speak at all, like Georgiana Darcy, or Anne de Bourgh in Pride and Prejudice, or Robert Martin in Emma. Their lack of speech actually serves to further define their characters and speak volumes about the characters around them. It's amazing how Jane Austen's dialogue is both endlessly entertaining and also carefully used and cultivated to aid plot and characterization. The ninth thing I love about Austen is her legacy and impact on the literary world. Jane Austen's writing contributed immensely to the novel as a literary form, especially through her technique of free indirect discourse. This is basically a character's first-person thoughts and emotions in the voice of a third-person narrator. There are no quotation marks, but we do still get a sense of what the character is thinking. It's incredibly common and almost universal in contemporary writing, and Jane Austen was one of the first, if not the first author to use free indirect discourse. Her writing paved the way for literary realism, and some of the great Victorian writers we know and love, like Dickens, George Eliot, Thomas Hardy, the Bronte sisters, Gaskell, and so much more. The 10th thing I love about Jane Austen is the community and fandom surrounding her works. I deeply treasure the friendships I have formed with other like-minded readers who also see the value in returning to Jane Austen's writing time and time again. I'm so thankful for these friendships on BookTube and in the real world, and I just find it so easy to form an instant sense of kinship with anyone who loves Jane Austen the way I do. So on that note, thank you for watching this. If you've made it to the end, I'd love to know in the comment section why you love Jane Austen, or I don't know, maybe you don't love Jane Austen and just happen to click on this to see what all the fuss is about. But either way, I would love to hear from you and chat about all things Austen in the comment section down below. So happy Jane Austen July, everyone. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you in another bookish and probably Jane Austen related video very soon. Bye!